Hi everybody, Dr. Dale for Dr. Dale on deck. And it's really good to be with you this morning on December the 1st, 2024. Just had a great Thanksgiving season. And here we are in northwestern Pennsylvania in the beautiful Allegheny Mountains. Just enjoying every bit of it that we can. It's pretty cold today, about 28 degrees from my thermometer, and I decided to take a walk and walk down something we call the hike bike trail. A lot of cities have hike bike trails. We have a very nice one here, and it runs right alongside of a some people call it a river because it's pretty big, but it's actually called the Conowongo Creek, and it flows into the Allegheny River, which eventually, as you go on down the road a bit in Pittsburgh, it turns into one of the three rivers that go on to pour into the Mississippi. So and then onto the Gulf of Mexico. So there's a connection that covers the country here. Anyways, I just thought that I would do this walk out here. It's a beautiful time of the year. We got just a few inches of snow, but just a short hop, skip, and jump away from here, they had about 2 to 3 feet of snow near Erie, Pennsylvania. I had a wedding yesterday, and some of the folks that were participating in the wedding weren't able to get there. The bride and the groom were there. That's good. But some of them could not get there because of the weather conditions where they were coming from. And we see that sometimes here. We're very close to what they call the snow belt. But anyway, here I am, decided to walk down this trail that Melissa and I take quite often when we're on bicycles or even out for walks. It's just a beautiful area here. Every once in a while we see some wildlife and whatnot. Well, as I was praying about this morning and I was thinking about the show, I was really struck by Psalm 42. Many years ago, an acquaintance, I'll call him a friend of mine, I've had him come to the area here before, and they love the area. They come now from the state of Washington, but he authored a song. He's written many songs, and worship songs primarily, but this one has just blanketed the whole world. And to give credit where credit is due, his name is Marty Nystrom, and the song you're familiar with is As the Deer. And it has been translated into more languages than I can remember. The number. I certainly only know a bit of some languages. But in any event, you know the song. As the deer pants for the water, so my soul longs after you. You know that song, and that song is just it's found in many hymnals now, even continues to be used all over the world. Well, mentioned that because that's from Psalm 42, and I got to thinking about the fact that there is a great picture in that psalm. As the deer pants for the water, so my soul longs after you. And the psalmist goes on to say, I used to really, I'm going to really paraphrase the heck out of this, but I used to really get into it. I was hanging out with all the other people as they gathered together for worship, and I went into the king's court, and I went into the temple, and I went into worship, and it was just very exciting. But lately, I've just not been feeling it. I haven't been feeling it, maybe for a number of reasons. Times can get difficult, things can get hard. It's just one of those places that we can be in, difficult places. This time of the year, it can be really difficult for some folks. If they're going through really hard times, if they're really struggling to make ends meet, or struggling in relationships, or whatever the case may be, this is really, really hard. And the holidays come, and for the most part, these are times of of joy and, a great time. Thanksgiving gathering, my daughter and her children came, my grandchildren came to our house on Thanksgiving, just times of celebration and whatnot. But a lot of times people are going through really, really hard times, really hard places. And we have to remember to be people who are available to those that are going through a hard place as much as we can. And then ask God to give us strength and hope and the right words. And sometimes it's not about our words, it's about our presence, just being there. As the deer pants for the water, so my soul longs after you, oh God. You alone are my heart's desire, and I long to worship you. The longing of my heart, that thing that's inside of me, I just simply want to worship you. I want to give my life to you, Lord. I want to present myself to you. And I need your presence in my life. I need you to come into my life and be present with me in major, major ways. It's really difficult sometimes. I know some people going through, one in particular, going through just an awful season in life. It's been going on for many years. And words even fail to do anything beyond encouraging, but to find solutions and things like that is really hard. Sometimes we just don't have solutions for folks. We think we should. We try to. We come up with some ideas, some concepts to try. We go to the Bible, we quote the Bible, and so forth. But, most of the time if we're going to walk with people, we just need to walk with them. We just need to be there for them. Just hang out with them. Just spend some time. Sometimes we can't throw money at a problem. Sometimes we're unable to I gotta switch hands here. It's so cold. Sometimes we're just unable to help meet the needs that need to be met. And we do the best that we can, perhaps, with what we have. But one thing we can do is we can be in their presence. We can encourage them the very best that we know how to. And we can stand with them. Maybe we ourselves are going through some things. And we have questions, and we have things that are not really making sense to us at the moment. And sometimes we need others to stand with us. And sometimes by our giving to those that we see around us that are going through something, and we give ourselves to them, sometimes that's where God meets us, in the midst of helping others. In this very busy season, in this time of the year where things are really, really picking up speed, the month of December, which is a beautiful month, a beautiful time of the year. So we close out a year throughout this month. Things get really busy. There are more activities. I mean, as a pastor, there are many activities. As a musician, I'm just, this is the day that everything begins, December 1st. And my calendar is so chock full of events and participating in things and working with the Voices group and all these other things. We've got just so many things on our plate. But in the midst of all of this, are we taking time? Are we slowing down and taking some time just to be in the presence of the Lord? The psalmist said, I used to be with all of those who were celebrating God. I used to, but now things have kind of come into my life and caved in on me in some ways. What am I going to do now? And And I just love this psalm. The very first thing I have to do is recognize that I am absolutely able to come before the Lord in quietness and in stillness, know that He is God. As we come into this great season, in the liturgical church, this time of Advent, we call it, we have many lessons that we can study, that we can learn, leading up to the celebration of the birth of Jesus. Now, before you get all hung up legalistically on when Jesus was born, what time of the year, and that it most likely wasn't in December, I'm going to say to you, some people say, well, these are just, pagan holidays that we attach to. Listen, I'm a guy about restoration and redemption. So why not take the things that were intended initially for the good and the glory of God and got stolen by paganism and the enemy and whatnot, and redeem them? Let's get them back. It doesn't matter to me. We can celebrate. It's just like, Resurrection Day, Easter, the roots of all of that. But the reality is, why don't we just make every day about the resurrection of Jesus? Why don't we make every day about the birth of the Messiah? And in these weeks and months leading up to what we call Christmas Day, I want to encourage us. I want to encourage you, but I also want to encourage me to just slow down a little bit here and take a look at what God has done in our lives and is doing in our lives. Just what is it that God wants to bring about in us personally? Do we have a thirst and a hunger? Do we pant after the presence of God? Do we desire Him? I don't know about you, but I need more of that in my life. I need to have more in my life of the presence of the Lord. As the deer pants for the water, so my soul longs after you. You alone are my heart's desire. I long to worship you. You're my strength and you're my shield, and so on and so on. I want to encourage you. I hope that if you know this song, that just from watching this video, this show today, that it will get stuck in your head, along with many of the other great ones. We love Christmas carols, and we love the music of the season, and I've written songs for this season that we'll be sharing with you over the next few weeks. And I've rearranged some old public domain Christmas carols that we'll be sharing with you over the next weeks. Some different versions, maybe, whatnot. I'll probably be inside when I'm playing the guitar. We've just concluded a music video for one of my new songs, and we did that outdoors, and it wasn't cold as this. But it was chilly morning, and my fingers were like really cold with the guitar and whatnot. But in any event, I digress. Here's the reality. The reality is, if we hunger after God, if we look to God, if we seek Him, we find Him, and we search for Him with all of our heart. We've talked about that many times. And here's the reality on this beautiful day. The reality is, as we hunger after God and thirst after Him, and we start to move in our being after Him, as our spirit draws close to Him, He draws close to us. Could we make ourselves available to those that are hurting, those that are struggling in this hour and this time? Could we make ourselves available to them so that they would be strengthened and uplifted? Can we do that without fanfare? Can we do that without needing to get credit for it? Can we reach out to those that are in a dire strait? You say, but Dr. Dale, I don't have a lot of money. How am I supposed to do that? Listen, neither do I. This is a month every year where I wonder, how on earth are we going to get through the month? How are we going to do the things that we want to do? But it's not about the money. It's about the availability. May your hearts cry, may my hearts cry in this season be that we would pant after God, that we would desire His presence more than anything else. And that as a result of being in the presence of the Lord, He will give us opportunities this month. Opportunities to touch others, to love on them as we have been loved on by God. I want to thank you for joining me today. I want to thank you for considering the words that I've spoken. And I want to thank you for joining us here in this beautiful part of the world just for a few minutes today, just to know that in His presence great things happen. In His presence we can know the glory of God, and maybe we could find ourselves more in the presence of the Lord this year than ever, and seeking His face. He will meet with us. And then let's listen for that still small voice within to tell us what it is He would like us to do, to reach out to somebody that is going through a hard time, going through a difficult place. Maybe they're just in a situation where they're just not sure of themselves anymore. Maybe they're just struggling because they've been diagnosed with something. Maybe they're struggling because their bills aren't getting paid. Maybe they're struggling because they've got a wayward child or spouse, or maybe they're just under it, so to speak. And God will speak to our hearts to reach out to them, to love on them through this season, and to do the very best we can to be a friend. And that will bring us into a new place in the presence of the Lord. As the deer pants for the water, so my soul longs after you. You become my desire, Lord, my heart's desire. And I long to worship you. God bless you guys as we begin this season. And I look forward to seeing you throughout it. May the peace of God that goes beyond understanding keep and guard your hearts and lives in Christ Jesus. Peace.